Hello students, we are going to go through question 21 to 40 of the MCQ revision questions. Okay, so let's go ahead and start now. Question 21, which of the following electrical appliances converts electrical energy to mainly light and sound energy? Okay, so if you look at all the options here, A, C, and D are not the answers we are looking for, because for A, it produces light but no sound for light bulb. For washing machine, it does make a lot of sound, but it does not produce any light. Okay, last one, the toaster, it doesn't produce any sound. Okay, so answer that we are looking for is B, the television, because television produces both light and sound. Question 22. Okay, if you look at the option given, or more like the picture given, okay, you see a capital A in the center of the meter. This is actually our ammeter. Okay, an ammeter actually measures current, so answer is A. 23, the unit for electrical resistance, okay, is ohms. So this is something you need to remember. For volt, this is actually showing potential difference. Okay, for ampere, okay, like what we have seen just now, is actually used to measure current. Okay, and meter, okay, is actually used for the unit for length. Okay, question 24. What is the voltage of the mains socket in our homes? This one you have to remember that for our homes, the main socket, the wall switches, the wall sockets, they are actually at 230 volts. Okay, for the question 25, okay, you notice that this picture shows an exposed wire here. Okay, that means there's no covering, okay, over the wire, no insulator over the wire. So if you look at the options, only B, which is the damaged insulation, would allow us to have the exposed wire. So answer is B. Question 26. The fuse of a hairdryer blows when the hairdryer is in use. So that means there is a problem with the hairdryer. Okay, such that when you switch on the hairdryer, okay, the hairdryer will make the fuse in the hairdryer blow. Okay, so what do we need to do? What is the correct step to take? Okay, so in order to prevent, or in order to make sure that the problem is fixed and it doesn't repeat itself when you switch on again, okay, the very first thing that you should do is to check for hairdryer for faults. Okay, in fact, these few options actually in a series. Okay, you have to check the faults first. If there is fault, you have to fix it. Okay, like for example, the switch is spoiled, or wire inside drop out and it touch another part that is not supposed to. Okay, you fix that problem first. After you fix the problem, then you remove the fuse and replace it with a new one. After you replace with a new one, okay, and it works, then fine, everything is fixed. But if it's still not, then maybe you have to replace the plug. Okay, so these are steps to take when you need to check for a problem on an electrical device. Number 37, what is the reading of the ammeter shown? Okay, so if you look very carefully, okay, it's actually at 1.7. So answer is answer is actually 1.7. Okay, 28. Okay, an ice cube left on the table starts to melt. Okay, when we see the word melt, you should think of it as solid changing into liquid. Okay, but in order for this to happen, solid must absorb heat. Okay, solid must absorb heat so that they gain enough energy to become liquid. Okay, so if you look at the answer, only C is the best answer for us. 29, which of the following is most suitable to measure the body temperature? Okay, so when you talk about measuring body temperature, our hand is definitely not the best choice. Okay, the data logger is also not a good choice because data logger is actually very good at measuring temperature for long periods of time. Okay, do we actually want to measure our body temperature for like 2 hours, 3 hours? Not, then this is not our best choice. Okay, usually when we use a thermometer for our body, we want it to be fast and accurate. So the best choice here is actually B. Okay, why laboratory thermometer can't do the job? Okay, basically laboratory thermometer is usually very slow because they measure a wide range of temperature as well. So they may not be the best option. Okay, number 30. Okay, the diagram shows a bolt and a nut which are made from different materials. The nut is tightly stuck, okay, to the bolt and it cannot be unscrewed. Okay, so which of the following explains why the nut can be unscrewed? Okay, after the nut is heated with a hot flame. Okay, so always remember when you heat something with a hot flame, okay, it will actually expand. It become bigger. Okay, so when you say the nut expands, means when the nut is heated, it will imply that the nut expanded. Okay, but we did not heat the bolt directly. Okay, and we want it to be unscrewed. So the nut must expand more than the bolt. Okay, so this is the answer we are looking for. The nut must expand more than the bolt so that we can unscrew the nut. Okay, so if you look at the options, only B is the answer that I said just now. Question 31. Which of the following is not a useful application of contraction? Contraction means to shrink. Okay, so if you look at all the answers, okay, I want a useful, so I want something that is not useful. Okay, not useful. C would be answer. Why? Because if I talk about electrical cables snapping during cold weather, it means that every time when it's cold, the wire would snap. That means break. Okay, so do you want the wire to always break during cold weather? Of course not, because if that happens all the time, then we have an issue. All the electrical equipment will stop working, okay, and it causes a lot of problem during cold weather. Question 32. Which of the following expands the most when heated? So in our lesson, we did talk about this before. Okay, so solid, liquid, and gas. Okay, when we talk about expansion and contraction, okay, solid expands the least, while gas expands the most. Okay, same for contraction. Solid contracts the least, gas contracts the most. So we need to find an answer that is talking about a gas. Okay, so out of all the answers there, only C is a gas because air is a gas. Question 33. Okay, you have two metal blocks touching each other. Okay, and down here they say the heat flows from X to Y. Okay, so in this case, we know that heat always flow from higher temperature to lower temperature. Okay, so if we know this, that means when we look at the picture, we should know that X must be the higher temperature. Okay, while Y is the lower temperature object. Okay, so if you looked at all the options there, only D is a 1 because D is 60 for X and Y is 30 degrees Celsius. Question 34. What is the purpose of the gaps between the concrete bridges as shown? Okay, so we have talked about this before in class. Okay, these gaps is actually to allow for expansion to take place. Okay, so when it's not so warm, okay, the hole between them be quite large. Okay, but when it is warm, very hot weather, okay, this hole would be filled up, okay, and leaving very little space. So we need this to happen, otherwise the road would bulge up. Okay, so this allows the bridge to expand and contract without causing too much problem. Question 35. Which of the following electrical appliances does not require a thermostat? So what is a thermostat? Thermostat is a device that reacts with temperature, okay, and is used to control, okay, another device. Okay, so it's like a temperature switch. Okay, so if you look at all the options there, okay, only B, okay, doesn't require a thermostat. Okay, otherwise every time you switch on the TV, it becomes too hot, the TV will switch off. Okay, and this doesn't make sense. Okay, while the others, the thermostat must be inside there in order to help to control the temperature. Question 36. Which of the following correctly explains why the water droplets can be seen on the outside of the glass? Okay, so definitely the glass is not leaking. Okay, yes, the ice is melting in the glass. Okay, but melting in the glass doesn't mean that the water will come out of the outside of the glass. So B is also not the option. C, water evaporates from the surface. This is not true because when we evaporate, the water would disappear. So it shouldn't leave water droplets. Okay, so which leaves our answer as D, because when the surface of the glass is very cold, it actually causes condensation of the air around the glass. Okay, so that's why you have the water droplets there. Okay, number 37. Okay, the table below shows the density of 3 different liquids. Okay, you see there mercury, oil, and water. When 3 liquids are poured in a beaker, the liquids remain separated as 3 different layers as shown. So rule of thumb here is that higher density, okay, sinks. Please remember this, higher density sinks. Okay, so if you look at the options here, higher density will be the 13.5. It has to be the lowest part, followed by Q, which should be 1.0, followed by 0.9. So matching it to the correct liquids, mercury should be the lowest, water should be in the middle, and oil should be on top. So now P must be oil, Q must be water, R must be mercury. Answer is C. Okay, 38. Which one has the highest density? Okay, when you look for highest density, we are looking for large mass in small volume. Okay, so remember our plasticine experiment, okay, where I put a ball of plasticine in water and I use the same plasticine, I go and flatten it out to make it into a small boat. Yeah, by flattening it out and making it into a small boat, I'm actually increasing the volume, okay, that it can capture. Okay, so in this case, all the cubes, the volume are the same because they are all 1 cm. Okay, so we just need to look for the largest mass, okay, which leaves D as the answer because D has 11.34 grams as the mass. Number 39, the table compares the differences between solution and suspension. Which comparison is incorrect? Okay, so let's look at the answers. For A, solution can be separated by filtration. This is already not true. Okay, because solution, there's nothing inside that can be separated by filtration because your solute has already dissolved in the solvent. So therefore, there's nothing. Okay, there's no leftover, okay, to be separated by filtration. Okay, and if you look at A for under suspension, it cannot be separated by suspension. It cannot be separated by filtration. This is already not true. Okay, so our best answer is actually A. And last but not least, which of the following could be pH of vinegar? Okay, you need to remember that vinegar is a type of acid. Okay, in fact, it is a type of weak acid. Okay, so if you look at our pH scale, okay, which stretches from 0 to 14, anything between 0 to 7 is an acid for pH scale. Okay, anything that is above 7 to 14, this is our alkaline. Okay, and when we use the word weak, that means it must be close to neutral. Okay, if we can, it's like 6 or 8. Okay, they are actually close. Okay, but when we pair it with acid, okay, and I use my pH scale to see, okay, that means my pH must be between 0 to pH 7. Okay, in fact, it's less than 7. Okay, because 7 is actually neutral. Okay, so if I look through my answers, B is not correct because that's neutral. 11 to 14, 11 and 14 for C and D, this is actually showing our alkaline because these two are bigger than 7, which leaves my best answer as A, which is the acid. Okay, so vinegar has a pH of 3. Okay, so with this, I'll end the video. Okay, see you all back in school.